It is International Women's Month, and to celebrate, I decided to make a video listing my favorite women in anime. Now, hopefully this actually comes out before March ends, but if it doesn't, I hope you can still enjoy this list. Now, with these women, you may notice a trend. They are all powerful, independent women that don't have to rely on a man to save the day. They don't necessarily eschew romantic relationships, but they are not defined by their partners, if they even have one. And this is something I think we need more of in anime. Strong women that don't exist just to be someone's girlfriend or wife. First up is Nico Robin from One Piece. This is a woman who went through complete hell as a child, and she learned to distrust everyone. But she also learned how to take care of herself. Being part of the Straw Hat crew gave her a place she finally belonged, and trusted friends she can always rely on. But she'll always do what she can and do what needs doing, even if she has to let the demon out. Robin is a character that I empathize with greatly and that I relate to in some ways. She felt like she didn't have any right to exist. People basically told her she shouldn't live, she shouldn't have a life, and she kind of agreed with them, just surviving because that was the only thing she could do. She didn't want to die. But when faced with the choice of live and hurt her comrades, the only people who ever seemed to accept her, or die, she chose to die, partly to protect her crew, and partly because she thought that was what she deserved. But at Luffy's insistence, she finally let it be known. She did want to live. She did want to be happy. Robin didn't want to hate herself, and didn't want to be hated by every person in the world. It was just what she thought she had to do. It was what she thought the world was telling her. And for a while, she was pretty much right. The Straw Hat crew accepted her, and they wouldn't let her feel that she was worthless, or that she didn't deserve to be happy. And so she bonded with them, she stuck with them, and learned how to love herself, through loving them and them loving her. She's a fantastic character. She comes from a very dark place, but she finally found the light, and I love that. Next is Sailor Uranus, or Haruko Tenno from Sailor Moon. Now this is a personal role model of mine, a character who has both masculine and feminine qualities, and isn't afraid to show them both off. A strong silent type, Sailor Uranus often lets her actions speak for her, and her refusal to give up who she is, or try to be what others might expect her to be, is inspiring. She doesn't even acknowledge that society might frown upon her and her lifestyle, and that's awesome. Sailor Uranus shows that a woman doesn't have to fit into a specific mold to be wonderful, to be beautiful, to be just awe-inspiring. She's a fantastic character, both in the way she looks, in the way she acts, and I can't get enough of her. While we had seen a sort of tomboy character before in Sailor Jupiter, Sailor Uranus veered more towards less feminine and more masculine by driving a car and being into the more masculine sort of things, using very general gender stereotypes. And in fact, she's even mistaken as a man for a while in the series, which she doesn't mind because she really just doesn't care. I believe at one point in Crystal, she says, "What does gender matter?" And so, I think she's going to be a role model for a whole lot of people, both in the 90s, when she appeared, in the 2000s, and now, and in the future. I actually used to prefer Sailor Neptune to Sailor Uranus. I guess I found her more attractive in various ways. I thought the more feminine aspect was more appealing when I was younger. But as I've gotten older, I found myself drawn far more to Uranus because she, not to say that Neptune isn't a complex character, she is as well, but Uranus strikes a chord with me personally more. And understanding that Uranus appealed to me more than Neptune has helped me to understand who I am more as a person. Third is Motoko Kusanagi, or the Major, from Ghost in the Shell. The very definition of doesn't need a man to get things done. She's in charge of the highly skilled members of Section 9, and she doesn't rely on their help to accomplish her missions. That doesn't mean that she doesn't work with them, she does. She doesn't underestimate their abilities, and she isn't condescending towards them. She just can get things done by herself, while also working together with them. She's overcome incredible struggles, adapting to a fully prosthetic body at a very young age, and is one of the toughest women ever seen in not just anime, but any medium. She throws stereotypes on their head. She's scientific, logical. She isn't overly emotional, something that you see a lot of female characters being. For some reason, it's far easier to write a woman as being hysterically emotional, and the Major is the other side of that spectrum. It would be very easy to assume she doesn't have emotions, but anybody who's watched the movie, the original movie, not the Scarlett Johansson, the original movie, or the TV show Standalone Complex, it's clear the Major does have emotions, very much so, and she cares deeply about things, but she's not ruled by her emotions. She has a very clear sense of morality that doesn't overstretch. She's open-minded, and she understands all kinds of experiences. The Major, plain and simple, won't put up with anybody's bullshit. That's clear. But she also is less likely to judge someone, or to think that their lifestyle is odd or weird. She's understanding because she's seen all kinds of things, and she has experienced all kinds of things. She's had a unique existence, even in the world of Ghost in the Shell, where a fully prosthetic body isn't exactly a rarity. She is definitely a person to admire for her strength, and definitely a person I can see a lot of fans wanting to emulate because of how capable she is. Number 4 is Haruhi Fujioka from Ouran High School Host Club. She is not concerned with status or wealth or other people's perceptions of her, and she does what she wants, which itself is a fantastic quality in a person most of the time. And it thankfully, in Haruhi, means that she is usually responsible and practical. She is a foil to the host club's grandioseness. She's down to earth and not given to flights of fancy. But most importantly, she cares about the things that are important. The right way to treat people, doing the right thing, being a good person. She understands the members of the host club, who at first seem very shallow and problematic, frankly. But she sees through to who they are. Not at first, but over time. She learns who they are as people and what makes them who they are. She isn't likely to just forgive bad behavior, but she will understand why someone behaves a certain way. Also, Haruhi very much has the ability to go with the flow. She's not stuck up in any sort of way, and this shows not that she's just lackadaisical, she doesn't care. No, it shows that she does care, but about certain things, and the things that aren't worth caring about, she doesn't get hung up on. She's not exactly self-sacrificing, but she is definitely able to disregard parts of herself when it comes to other people and helping them, wanting to help them. She won't stick to a firm idea of who she is in her mind in relation to how other people see her, because she does know who she is deep down, and she knows that nothing will change that. So it doesn't matter the kind of clothes she wears, or necessarily the kind of activity she's doing because she knows who she is. Finally, my favorite anime character, I can probably say my favorite female anime character of all time, is Sayla Mass from Mobile Suit Gundam. Here is a woman that stepped up when she needed to, time and again. She enlisted in the Federation despite being a space noid. By all rights, she should have fought for Zeon, or just not fought at all. But she enlisted in the Federation to help victims of the 1-year war. She wanted to help people. She actually trained to pilot the Gundam, and did a time or two, and later the core booster, and she never gave up the fight, even after learning that her enemy, that White Base's enemy, was her own beloved brother. Stuck between the two worlds of Zeon and Federation, of people on Earth and space noids, she decided to give up her past for the sake of others. Deploring war and bloodshed, but knowing that people had to fight to end it, she struggled on and on until victory was achieved. Not to have the win, but to stop the misery that was the war. Sayla is a character that, if you're lazy, it's easy to define her as Amuro's love interest. But from the beginning, she is an incredibly strong woman who doesn't take anybody's shit. Early on in the series, she slaps the fuck out of Kai because he deserves it. And from that moment, if you don't fall in love with her, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because she slapped him when he needed to be slapped. She works on White Base throughout the entire series as a very important officer. She is trusted and dependable. And while her relationship with Amuro is a core part of the series, and it does affect how we view Amuro, it is somewhat important for him to have a romantic interest, there's a reason that he ended up with Sayla and not Frau Bo, the childhood friend. And it's not that Frau Bo is bad, but Sayla was a woman on Amuro's level. She fought like he did, she had tough decisions to make like he did, and she saw the truth of the world, that things are sometimes really bad, they're totally unfair, but that doesn't mean you can give up in any sort of way. And again, not dissing Frau Bo as a character, she is fantastic. Definitely in her own way, she's a wonderful character and a wonderful woman, but when it came to what Amuro needed as a pilot who was risking his life time and again, and who often felt that the war, the entire war rested, the fate of the war rested on his shoulders, Sayla was the type of woman who could support him the way he needed, while also not letting him get away with anything. She wouldn't let him just not care about what he was doing or not take things seriously. And besides, she's Char's sister. I mean, that gives her a lot of bonus points too, because Char is clearly the best character of anything to ever exist. Sig Zeon. Well, that's my list. And it is no mistake, if you've noticed, that 3 of the 5 characters I listed are members of the LGBTQ+, or are at least probable members. Sailor Uranus is a lesbian, firmly committed to her partner, both romantic and professional. I guess they're professional partners, Sailor Neptune. But in the manga, she is also described as being bi-gender, having qualities of both a man and a woman. She certainly doesn't adhere to the strict binary definition of gender, and that's wonderful. Non-binary people exist and need good representation. The Major, Kusanagi, is believed to be bisexual. Though we don't see her in any romantic relationships, there are some scenes where she seems to be with other women, while also sometimes having a lot of chemistry with Bato. And this fits her as a character. She doesn't lust after men or women, but she also doesn't seem devoid of any sensual feelings. She may have a robotic body, but she is far from a robot herself. Then there's Haruhi. one of the few characters I've seen that can be described as agender. She does identify as a woman, but she is very clear about not believing that people should be defined by their bodies, or how they want to act or be seen. She cross-dresses as a man, but it doesn't feel like cross-dressing to her. It's just a separate set of clothes, a certain way of styling her hair. She doesn't feel humiliated or excited at doing so, no more than when she wears a dress, because the very concept of man or woman means nothing to her. Haruhi is Haruhi. By the way, I want to explain that I'm including Haruhi Fujioka on a list of anime women while saying that the character is agender because, first of all, most people will see Haruhi as a woman. The characters in Ouran High School Host Club, people who watch the anime or read the manga, people who just see the character on Google or Reddit. She has been and will continue to be perceived as a woman, and it is worth talking about her as an agender character that is perceived as a woman. My second reason for including her is that it is no one's business to tell others who they should or shouldn't be, or how they should or shouldn't be identified. Haruhi lets everyone refer to her, outside of her host club duties, as a woman. She identifies herself as a woman, but she is also adamant about not caring how people perceive her gender. It would not be wholly incorrect to see her as an agender woman, and some people do use such a label for themselves, and it is not anyone's place to say that they are incorrect. These 5 women give all women good role models, and they hopefully can also teach men that a woman doesn't have to behave a certain way to get respect. These characters, so different from one another, are all favorites of mine for different reasons, because they are great representations of womanhood. Well, this has been my offering for International Women's Month 2021. Please share your favorite female characters in the comments and why you love them. And it doesn't have to be deep or super meaningful. If you like Asuka from Neon Genesis because you wish you had her hair, that's completely valid. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to the next one. Have a great day.